So the first thing we'll talk about is variables, and when we talk about variables, we'll also talk about something called literals. Okay, uh, it's just a fancy name essentially for constant data, something that's not a variable. Okay, so it's like constant data. Okay, so the data that does not change. Okay, so what is a variable? A variable stores a value, right? A variable has a name, okay, and the value of the variable can be changed, right? So in the example that not the example, but when we talked about variables in algebra, we said that we have this equation y equals mx plus c, right? Now in this equation, all these letters, right, these are variables, right? So these are variables. These letters right here, these are variables. Okay. Now these variables, they actually store some value, okay, and they have a name. So in this case, this variable is called y, this variable is called m, this variable is called x, this variable is called c, and they will have some data in it, right? They will have some data inside each of them. So let's say x equals or m equals 1, right? X equals 5, c equals 10, and then y would be 15, right? Y would be 15. So each of these variables hold a value. Okay, so variable stores a value, variable has a name. The value of a variable can be changed, so you can change the value of x from 5 to, let's say, 10, right? And then the value of y will change as well. Okay, so that's what a variable is. But that's the algebraic intuition of a variable. In computers, right, in programming, a variable is slightly different. Okay, so a variable, what it is think of a variable as a cup. Okay, think of a variable as a cup. A cup that stores data, that uh, stores data. Okay, so the cup, like imagine you going to Starbucks, right? You go to Starbucks and you order coffee, right? And you want the coffee to go. So what they'll do is they'll ask your name, right? They'll ask your name, and then they write the name down on that cup they take out for you, right? So in this example, let's say the cup is called A. Okay, so that's the name of the cup. That's the name of the variable, and then the cup contains data, right? In this case, let's say in the coffee example, the data is coffee. Okay, so a variable has a name, a variable has a value. Now in computers, what you have is you'll have lots of cups, right? You'll have lots of cups. Like you have a shelf, okay? You have a shelf with tons and tons of empty cups. And it keeps getting smaller and smaller. But anyways, uh, so you have a shelf, right, with lots of empty cups. When you want to store a data, you take one cup from the shelf, right? You take this cup, you name the cup, right? Let's say you want to store some value, x equals 5. Okay, so you name this cup x, and you pour the value 5 into the cup. Okay, uh, let's say you want to add another variable, you want to store another piece of information, piece of data, right? So let's say you want to store y equals 10. You take another cup, right? You pick another cup from here. You don't do that, the computer does it for you. But essentially what's happening behind the scenes is this: it picks up a cup for you, okay, names the cup y, and pours the value 10 into the cup. Okay, so think of a variable as a cup. It has a name on the outside, right? And it has a value inside it. Okay? And the value can be changed. So let's say you want to change the value of x to something else. So let's say x equals, you want 500 now. What you'll do is you'll just add 500. Okay, you'll just pour 500 into the cup, and it will replace the 5 essentially. Okay, so to summarize this slide, a variable is used to store data, right? So a variable stores data. That's it. That's all a variable does, right? Now a variable has a name, and it has the data that it stores, right? So think of variable as a cup. It has a name on the outside, and there is data inside that variable. Okay. When you refer to that data, all you do is refer to it by the name of the variable. Okay. So let's say uh, you have this cup, and this cup is called, let's say, X, and it has some data, right? It has some data. Now let's say you want to add the data in cup X, and then you have, let's say, another cup Y. Okay, another cup Y. So let's say you want to add whatever's in cup Y. Let's say this is 5, I'm sorry, cup X, to whatever's in cup Y. So let's say it's 10. Okay. You don't need to know what's inside the individual cups X and Y. Let's say you want to add everything, right? Let's say you want to make, so let's say this is milk. Cup X has milk, cup Y has coffee, right? You want to add X and Y. You don't need to know what X has and what Y has, and all you need to do is pour X and Y into another cup Z, right? So this is cup Z. All you do is, this is cup X and this is cup Y. You pour these into the cup Z, right? You don't need to know what's inside these individual cups X and Y. Okay. So once you store the data in a variable, right? Once you say X equals 5, right? And let's say Y equals 10, you forget about the data, right? You don't worry about the data anymore. All you do is you just use these X and Y, the names of the variables, to actually refer to these data. Okay. So a variable stores data. A variable has a name which is used to access that data. Okay.